Welcome to the Call Guys podcast, co-hosted by Kevin Hopp and Ronen. This podcast is all about sales development and the art and science of building high-performing outbound sales teams. Tune in weekly to hear live cold calls and also to hear Kevin and Ronen interview some of the top names in sales development. Let's dive right into this week's episode and see what we can learn. This episode is brought to you by Connect and Sell, your live conversation weapon. Teams that use Connect and Sell average 5 to 10 times more live conversations every day with their prospects. As a cold calling consultant, I've used every platform out there, and simply put, Connect and Sell is the Cadillac of the sales acceleration space. If you haven't tried it out, your team can try it for free by clicking the link in the show notes below.
One of the best things you can do is call out BS. Like prospects actually end up hearing that and respecting you more, especially the higher up in the totem pole they might be. Once told a CEO once told me he's not responsible for revenue. And I was like, that can't be true. I'm going to call BS on that. And he started laughing. He was like, okay, yeah, I'm technically responsible for it. But exactly that, like there's also 2 categories of objections. Like if you guys don't know, this is a really important fundamental thing to understand. You've got brush off objections and real ones. Any kind of brush off objection, the prospect is literally saying, I don't want to talk to you. You sound salesy. I can't talk to you. I'm busy. There's something going on where they can't even begin to have a conversation with you. But real objections have to do with business needs or have to do with business obstacles or things in the way. One common one is like, hey, we're actually all set. We got something for that already. That can sound like a brush off, but oftentimes it's real. In which case you want to probe with like some sort of follow-up question. Oh, when you say you're all set, do you mind telling me, like, you mean you already have tech for that? Or are you doing it in-house with Hey, how are you? Yeah, it's Ronen with the Call Guys. Look, I know nobody likes getting a cold call, especially not Tuesday after Memorial Day. Mind if I tell you why I'm calling and then you can decide if you want to hang up on me? I appreciate that. Just quickly checking, you're still at CloudBolt, right? That's right. Congratulations. I'm sure you've got a lot of initiatives as you're getting going there. One of the things that we do at the Call Guys, and the reason why I'm actually calling, was to see if you already have a way to make sure that your SDRs and your cold callers are able to generate at least 1 meeting from cold calls a day. Is that something your team already does? Yeah, I'm happy to try you again in 2 or 3 months. Also, really congrats to hear that like SDRs are the least of your worry. That probably means that you're at your 4 to 5x coverage of pipeline to your goal. You're probably in a good place already, right? Gotcha. Yeah, all new, still learning who's who. Tell me what makes the most amount of sense here. I'm happy to share a little bit more with you now or check back in. Sounds great. Try then. All right, bye-bye. All right. He goes, I don't know. I just started. I don't know who's who. I don't know what's what yet. Try me in like 2 months when I know what's happening.
That's probably fair. I remember when I started my role here at Fourth, I had a bunch of SDRs hit me up. I was like 2 weeks in, and it really is way too early to start a combo. Yeah. But it's a good warm touch point for later.
He was like, when I pushed him on the pipeline thing, he was like, I didn't say that. So that was good. He was like, I didn't quite say that, but I still don't know who's who.
Yeah, that's a great example of using, being knowledgeable of the situation, right? Saying things like, oh, you have 4 to 5x coverage, kind of when you know he doesn't, allows him to explain more in depth what is going on in his business, which is what you got to there. I think that's a warm follow-up. It's a great opportunity for us to circle back on.
Hey, are y'all open yet? Okay, is this the new location, or I thought I saw some plans for a new location opening up on Gilbert? Okay, and you're not Aaron, are you? Oh, cool, Brian. Good to meet you, man. Hey, I'm calling with a company called Hot Schedules. Have you ever heard of that name before? Okay, cool. This is one of those annoying sales calls that I'm sure you're accustomed to by now. Do y'all have a scheduling provider set up already, or is this something you haven't tackled yet? You're still in the spreadsheets. Square, okay. So you don't manage schedules then. Sounds like that might. Yeah, that'd be super generous of you. I'll take you up on that. Awesome. And is he a baseball fan, football fan, anything like that I could drop to get his attention? He kind of looks like a baseball guy. Okay. All right. Well, we'll let the jury decide if that's good or not. But hey, really appreciate connecting with you, and thank you for the number. All right, you too. Bye.
Sounds like a soft referral there.
All right. We got a phone number.
Okay. So Jack, you're calling restaurant owners?
Yeah. And the data is very spotty because these are kind of these public construction filings, that kind of stuff. So it probably is the main line. So you're always going to get someone in the restaurant. Once in a while, you get lucky with the mobile. So
I'm curious with restaurants. Have you guys, do you guys have any like field people that like walk into the restaurant? Like brick and mortar businesses sometimes people are still pulling doors. You know what I mean? Like walking in.
I think we should be. Yeah. I've actually done that local pizza joint here in the area and walked in, met the manager, shook his hand, said, hey, this is super weird, but I'm actually with a company that helps you out with some of this restaurant stuff. Long story short, turned into a qualified meeting. So
heck yeah. Jack, what's the biggest value prop that Fourth offers?
A lot of these restaurants are doing everything by hand, unfortunately. They're in spreadsheets. They're literally on pen and paper, clipboards. I mean, you walk into a restaurant, you see all the clipboards they have for scheduling, for inventory. So we modernize all of that and SaaSify it and take care of all of it.
SaaSify it. That's good.
SaaSify.
Okay, cool. So it's like a traditional play at take something super inefficient, run by paper and spreadsheet, and make it super efficient with tech.
Yeah. So it's a lot of explaining value because costs, they're like, well, this is free, but it's value. And it's what is eliminating the need for that give you back.
Is there like a typical pain point that is the most common one you hear that Fourth will just solve once it's in place and running?
We've got different solutions, which makes Fourth fun to work at. So like 4 completely different products. But yeah, I think the main thing is coordinating schedules across a large workforce. Like think a multi-location franchise in your area. All of those workers, they need to be able to coordinate across the locations, and they also might be working other jobs. So how do you handle the pay side of that? How do you handle the compliance side of that? So it's kind of an interesting industry.
So something like if you're talking to a restaurant manager, you might say, hey, just quick question for you. When it comes to coordinating the entire workforce, do you already have a way to identify the exact gaps in your schedule, make sure the pay and compliance is all set in the click of a button, or are you doing that manually?
That'd be a great question. Yeah.
And that's what we call the probing question. So the point of that question is to like go in to get the person to be like, no, I'm doing that manually, or they say, yeah, I have something, in which case you think competitor or some other process. And the goal there is not to come off as, I gotcha, like your baby's ugly. It's more like, oh, hey, look, I wasn't trying to call your baby ugly or anything here. Not a gotcha. But have you ever considered using tech that would just automate all that stuff for you so you can focus your time on more important things?
Yeah, I think your 3 to 5x pipeline example from a call ago was perfect. It's like, oh, so it sounds like you've got that 3x, 5x coverage. And he's like, no, I didn't say that. And it kind of opens that door.
Totally. Let's try that one again. And that's that's what we teach in our boot camp. By the way, we're giving away a boot camp seat to one lucky viewer today. So if you want to enter, just tag the call guys at the call guys in the comments. Hey, Brian. Hey, Brian, Ronen Pesar here with the call guys. How have you been? I'm fantastic. Look, I know nobody likes getting a cold call, Brian, especially not the Tuesday after Memorial Day. So I can keep it super brief and then you can decide if you want to hang up on me. Is that fair? Okay. Can I share why I'm calling real quick? Awesome. I saw on LinkedIn that you were overseeing sales at Tegria. Sorry for mispronouncing that. Is that still the case? Awesome. Just a quick question for you here. Do you already feel like your reps have at least 4 to 5x coverage of their goals in terms of pipeline? Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for taking the call. All right. He gave me a weird permission to pitch where he was like, I'm not going to hang up on you, but I may end the call. So I was like, that's called hanging up.
What does that mean?
Not really sure how to handle that one. Did you want me to keep going? And he said, yeah, go ahead. when I asked him the pipeline question, he's like, yeah, we've got internal resources that get us pipeline, so we're all set. So I'm going to end the call. Take care. I was like, okay, cool.
Something I love that you're doing is you're being super consistent with your opener. And, for us, because we're hearing your calls, it probably sounds weird to us. Like he's literally saying the same thing over and over. But we have to remember that that prospect hasn't ever heard from you. And being consistent allows you to really master that, get the feedback, make the adjustments. I think most of us that go in without a game plan, we just end up blah, 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 saying something. And then we can't actually track how effective that is over time.
Yeah, that's a good call out. Thanks, Jack. But exactly, if you don't stick to the script that you have for yourself, you're going to lose sight of what you're trying to say in the clearest way for the prospect. So they won't actually hear the message. They'll just hear the noise. And it's the hardest thing. When you listen to a bunch of call recordings like Kevin and I do when we're doing call coaching and stuff, is you hear how people get flustered, they lose track of the script, and then they don't sound like they're making sense. So it's confusing for the prospect. And then the prospect immediately is like, I don't know what this is about. You're interrupting my day. I don't want to talk to you. So slowing it down, I'm even going slightly too fast for my own liking right now, but slowing it down and just trying to stay focused on what are the next words I'm going to say that go in line with what they said, get you closer to then being fully active and listening to what the prospect says. And active listening is the end goal, which means you could be script free. But yeah, you do it enough, you memorize exactly what you're saying. It just rolls off your tongue. That's the goal for the callers that I've worked with. You want to get them to the point where it's automatic.
That was a fantastic call, Ronen. Just points there. I think one of the things that really separates the way that we teach conversations is the ability to keep the conversation going and not just kind of bowing out at the first no or at the first I'm not the right person. Hope that everybody takes that away as something that they can work on. We had a few things we talked about. I think number one was slowing down. Number two is having a plan. Number three is probably working on your lists. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Jack, how can people connect with you, learn from you, get into your universe?
I'm on LinkedIn. Would love to connect. But you are listening to the top two guys in the game. So stay tuned on the Call Guys for the better sales tips in terms of cold calling. But I'm happy to connect and talk.
Thanks so much for being a part of this, Jack. It was fun.
Yeah, it was a blast. I learned a lot. So sign up for that boot camp because I think you're going to really benefit. But yeah, time to slow down.
Hey, Jack, how do we get your team into the next boot camp?
I know. You should cold call me. Next live show, cold call me.
There you go.
We might. Well, special shout out here to end it to our sponsor, Connect and Sell, the live conversation weapon that we use today to have a lot of conversations in a short period of time. I mean, between us, we had 10 conversations.
I had 7 alone, 2 very good with follow-ups in the span of 45 dials while pausing so that I could commentary on what was that? Incredible.
I went 23-5. I mean, that's a great KD right there.
Yeah.
The efficiency can't be beat. If you haven't checked out Connect and Sell, please do it. And everybody tune in 2 weeks. We'll be back with more live cold calling. Cheers, everybody.